Good evening, everybody. This is meteorologist Andrew Pinero with this next weekend outlook forecast video. Now, before we get to the weekend, let's talk a little bit about the past weather. Today, oh boy, we had quite an interesting morning going a little bit into the afternoon. And then we ended the day with a little bit of some flurries. So we started with severe weather. There were tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings in the tri-state region, which happened, I believe it was sometime between 9:30 and 10 a.m. That was very interesting to see. And I do have some archived radar data that we're going to take a look at in a bit. After we look at some of the past weather, then we're just going to take a look at the weekend ahead. Because right now it is cold and it is windy. Will that continue? Well, stick around for the video and we'll talk about the weekend forecast. So now, let me switch over to my computer screen here. And the first thing I have up, I just wanted to briefly still talk about, because it's still pretty hazardous at the moment, is the wind. It's starting to calm down. We still have here wind advisories for a lot of areas here. And this hazardous weather outlook still is talking a little bit about the wind. So let me click on there. So here we're seeing, where is that? A gale warning, but that's a little bit more for the ocean. It's really starting to die down, it looks like, for the wind stuff. But that wind advisory in the brown color here, that's still out there. So that's, again, going to be starting to die down going into tomorrow. Now, before we start looking at the future, let's take a look at the past. Now, this is archived radar data from RadarScope I have here, 10:09 a.m. And look at this. So here's Philadelphia going into Jersey. So Philadelphia through this Vineland. Let's watch this radar. And I have a couple extra of these little circles on here I'll talk about in a second, but look at this line, or these sets of lines coming through. Now the one I do want to focus on right here, this line. So see these circles? Those circles are shear. So that is contoured shear. And this is kind of where the tornado warning was. So this is a shear track, which could potentially mean that is a tornado track. And the same thing happened down here. Right through there, there was some shear happening. Quite a bit of shear there. A little bit of shear up here, but there was a track or a track of shear. So that was interesting to take a look at. So this was coming through, and this image is ending about 10:09 a.m. Let me pause that for a second. And let's go a little bit more into the future. Let's go an hour in advance. And now let's look at this radar. So this really started to die down just barely as it was getting to the ocean. But it still maintained a lot of its strength as it started heading through southern New Jersey. There's Glassboro right there. Started going through Levittown, then Trenton. After Trenton, it picked up a little bit more strength heading towards Edison there. And then the southern little finger or track here, look at that, still had some shear picked up. That one was heading towards Tom's River. Kind of that area. This is the Mount Holly radar station. That's that circle. That is the radar itself. So it kind of went straight through the radar. And here, let me just advance one more hour. So we're going to go to 12, but we'll just do, not AM, PM. We're just going to do 12 PM there. Okay, now let's take a look at this. And here, as soon as it hit the ocean, that's really where it started to die down. And there's this line. We're heading through New York City there. They were quite intense for a little bit there. And even heading into the Hudson Valley, there was the northern little part of that got through Orange County. Then it started going through Rockland and Westchester County. Then going into, say, Putnam County, Sullivan, Ulster, Dutchess, not so much. It's really starting to die down at that point. But this was really interesting to see the archived radar data. And this is something new now that I have acquired. Seeing this archived radar data was really cool. And that's a tool I'm going to be using. I have 30 days of radar archive, which is something I have been looking for a while. And that has been added now. Costs a little extra, but it's added into Radar Scope. So I do like this 30-day archive and seeing the shear contours. That's going to be really cool as well. Okay, so now let's switch to live. Let's go back to, oh, there it is, it's in live. So I'm recording this a little after 9 p.m. I'm just going to play through this. There's very, very little bit of some precipitation here. And that's probably some flurries. Let me switch to the precipitation depiction. Yeah, this is flurries. It looked like it was blinking a little bit into mixing. Yeah, a little bit there, and then this will blink into mixing there, but we could still just have, let me turn the shear off. But we just have some little bits of flurries, and that's really about it for that. And now that we looked at the past, we looked at the present, let's start taking a look at the future for just a little bit here. We have a quick thing here. This is current satellite, but look at the size of this system. That is quite intense. All right, on the GFS here, that system continues to make its way out. And as it continues to make its way out, the pressure gradient decreases, meaning we're going to have less wind as this pressure gradient decreases, and we're going to have this high pressure move in place. So tomorrow, the high is starting to move in place, but we could still, looks like here on the GFS, see some little flurries. So that's still a possibility. And then it looks like going into Sunday, not much there, but some flurries, maybe a little bit of mixing there. And then beyond that, overnight Sunday into Monday, here comes our next system. I'm not going to talk about that too much because this is the weekend outlook forecast. We're not really going to go into next week. If you want to find out the weather for next week, make sure you hit subscribe below and that little bell icon so you know when I upload my next weather forecast video. Okay, so that was the GFS. On tropical tidbits, now let's go to pivotal weather. And let's take a look at the Euro. So here, pressure gradient looks like it's starting to decrease overnight tonight, which is what the GFS was saying. High pressure moves in. Little specks of some flurries here. That's about it. Then going overnight Saturday into Sunday, about the same thing. Little flurries here and there. Now the Euro didn't really have anything for more showers, just little bits here, kind of right along the New York City line and south. And then this is where overnight Sunday into Monday, we have another little chance of some mixing, some snow, and then maybe just some regular rain, depending exactly where you are, for Monday. Now let's take a look at the icon here. And with the icon, this is a pretty intense system. That's a pretty high pressure gradient. But it does start to unravel a little bit as the high comes in. Pressure gradient drops. The high is over us for most of the day tomorrow. So we're seeing just a little bit of some of those flurries, but really nothing much. And then a little bit better, excuse me, a little bit better with the wind. And then going into Sunday, again, little chance of some flurries. Nothing really in terms of anything wet or liquidy instead of frozen. And then overnight Sunday into Monday. That's the next line here, but it does look a little bit warmer on the icon. And on the NAM here, the last one we'll take a look at, there's the unraveling of the pressure gradient. Starts to decrease. High pressure moves in. And again, just little bits of flurries going through the day, kind of scattered throughout the area. And then overnight Saturday into Sunday, still those little flurries. Then here comes Sunday night into Monday. Maybe starting as a little bit of frozen or mixed. But then we're seeing just some regular rain coming in for areas, it looks like, south of New York City, but it's going to be a little bit close to call for right now. That pretty much wraps up this weekend outlook forecast video. Again, it was really interesting to take a look back at what happened today. That was a very vigorous line that went through, which is what prompted the tornado warning and the severe thunderstorm warning. And it was really interesting to see severe weather at the southern part of that system in the tri-state, and then snow at the northern part going into New England. Which brings up climate change. So I am going to have more climate change chat videos coming out this year. So if you want to talk about that, again, make sure you subscribe below. So that pretty much wraps up this video, everybody. Thank you all for joining. I hope you enjoyed. This is meteorologist Andrew Pinero. Have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you all in the next video.